Welcome to GC Sidebar, a short and sharp conversation series with leading general counsels about the decisions, the reflections, and the people behind the title. I'm Trista Engel, CEO of Paragon Legal, and today I'm joined by Alisha Cieslak, former Chief Legal and Risk Officer at Gordon Food Service, a 125-year-old family-managed food service distributor. Alisha has twice been the first legal hire, building legal functions from the ground up at both Bentler and Gordon Food Service, and has paired that work with long-standing community involvement, including board service with the Special Olympics of Michigan and the Grand Rapids Chamber of Commerce. Alisha, I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Trista. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
All right, let's jump in. What's one thing you're most focused on for 2026 and why?
My 12 years at Gordon Food Service deeply ingrained a passion for the food industry. And so I'm excited about the types of legal issues facing the industry. We have the Making America Healthy movement, shifting consumer expectations, and of course, there's always a little bit of volatility when we have a new change in administration. But for GCs today, I think generally who are listening to the podcast, it's not just about industry-specific dynamics. We're all navigating the confluence of AI, professionalized cybercrime, shifting geopolitics, cost pressures, and talent fatigue. These aren't just CEO problems, they are business continuity problems. And I'm focused on how a skilled GC acts as a bridge, translating these kind of external shocks into internal strategies. It's certainly dynamic out there, and every business enjoys and appreciates certainty, but really good general counsel know how to be agile and adapt in times and periods of uncertainty.
What's the most valuable lesson you've learned as a GC?
There's so many, but I think the most valuable lesson I've learned is a modern GC has to be a business leader first, whose work is informed by the law. And so in the boardroom, I leave legal jargon at the door. My job is to frame legal issues in terms of ROI and impact on business strategy, revenue acceleration, market entry speed, operational efficiency. I've also learned to abandon perfection. I think for a lot of lawyers, this is a challenge, but I've learned that the need for perfection often comes from fear or insecurity. And when you gain experience and you have honed judgment, you're able to make the calls and navigate those uncertain times in a way that builds trust with leadership. And you can move quicker and keep the business moving because you become the person to help guide the organization through crisis. And you build influence because you add value when it counts.
That's a great lesson, two great lessons, both related to being in a role that isn't just legal. It's really a business leader, a business executive, someone sitting at the table thinking about the trajectory of the business with the legal issues in mind, but not the only thing that you need to be thinking about.
Absolutely.
What's one career moment that changed your trajectory?
The turning point for me wasn't an event, but a realization that I needed to transition from being a great lawyer to an enterprise leader. And early in my career, I was focused on the perfect legal answer. But during my time building the legal function at Bentler and then Gordon Food Service, the forest finally came into focus just beyond the trees. I stopped leading lawyers and I started building other leaders. I intentionally invested in their development and created opportunities for them to gain visibility and earn that trust from leadership as well. I then found myself with a little bit more time to get in the field, to visit facilities, to participate in strategic planning and building succession plans for the future. With this added vantage point, I began to understand that the legal view is not the only view. It's a critical input to business decisions. And when you sit on the executive team of these multi-billion-dollar companies, you aren't just the lawyer in the room. You're charged with advancing the company's entire strategic aspiration, and in my case, while also protecting and preserving family legacies. So that shift in perspective changed really everything in how I approach legal issues and business challenges.
I love the idea of the legal team being involved in all parts of the business and really understanding all parts of the business, being on the ground with other functions, with all parts of the company to get that perspective, because legal has a unique vantage point across the business. Legal touches every function. And so it's all the more critical to really understand how the business works and what all these functions are doing to be the best partner, advisor, and business leader. And not every in-house lawyer has the opportunity to really be on the ground with the people doing the work, the people they're advising. So I love that point about your story.
Yeah, and it takes time to get the invitation into those rooms, and it takes intentional relationship building. But over time, if you demonstrate success in kind of your core competency and area of responsibility, and then express willingness to learn and grow and lead in different ways, I think management teams are really receptive to that. And I also think it builds a lot of credibility with the business and the operations. If you're there, you understand the roles, the processes, the technology, the product, and the operations.
That's fantastic. You have built 2 legal teams from scratch, and general counsels today have a wide range of resourcing options beyond just FTEs and outside counsel. What's your approach to resourcing your legal team?
Since I began in-house practice now over 15 years ago, I've always heard the adage that we need to do more with less. But I think we're in a really exciting time in 2026 because we actually now have the tools to do it. And I think that GC, to be successful, must apply the same kind of operational rigor to the law department's work as a COO does in operations or production. My approach to the in-house legal staffing, at least at Gordon Food Service, now certainly this could be different at other companies, but it centers around 3 ideas. One, to have a business partner orientation. And so the idea there is to have a generalist who could really get inside and understand a line of business or a product line or a business unit. And it's their role to manage that relationship and provide service to those business lines and their leaders. The second kind of layer of support to those people are those who can specialize in core business functions. And those functions need innate business knowledge that maybe it doesn't make sense to outsource to outside counsel, but where the work is consistent enough and necessary to the business. And then third, what is the technology, the process, the tools, and the templates that supports those people to keep the business running? Now, you mentioned law firms. Law firm relationships remain extraordinarily important, certainly. But I've learned that flexible resources like those offered by Paragon are really an important untapped resource for a lot of GCs. Some have never tried it for a variety of reasons. I've had tremendous success utilizing flexible resources when we needed coverage for maternity leaves, where we experienced attrition and we were between hiring and departure dates. Those were really a vital bridge to keep our service levels up. And many of these flex resources were previously in-house counsel who understood our needs and our style. I can also imagine other use cases like augmenting projects, acquisitions, or large litigation matters. The last point I wanted to raise is technology. I touched on this for a moment, but this area continues to evolve with the introduction of AI capabilities and new vendors in the space. GCs are now expected to manage AI from these kind of 3 distinct angles simultaneously. One, GCs are establishing the guardrails for how the rest of the company utilizes AI. They're advising on how AI is embedded into the company's own offerings, which introduces a whole myriad of legal issues. And then they're using AI within the legal department to automate dark work, contracts, NDAs, due diligence, discovery, to free up the in-house legal team for that more high value and strategic work.
That's such a great framework. Thank you for sharing that, because you touched on all the really important parts of the ecosystem in how to think about FTEs or your in-house team, how to think about where to use outside counsel, how to leverage technology, and then where flex legal talent can come in and support. And it really is a sort of four-way Venn diagram where all of these different resources are necessary and critical to cost-effective and high-level service, in addition to preventing burnout or overwork on your own legal team and allowing your internal team to level up and work on strategic projects or do more business critical work. So I love the way that you frame that across all of the options. And it really is a forward-thinking way of resourcing a team in the best way possible.
You have a very impressive slate of attorneys on the team, and
Yes.
I think these folks would be welcomed addition to my law department or anyone experiencing what I mentioned earlier, and I'm sure many other use cases I haven't considered.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
If you weren't an attorney, Alisha, what would you be?
I truly love being a general counsel, so I'd likely still be in an area where the law, business, policy intersect, something around food, hunger, restaurants, nutrition, things of that nature. But if I really stretch, I'd probably be a sommelier or a professional organizer.
Oh,
Because whether it's a chaotic closet or like a really complex wine list, I just have this natural drive to bring order and structure, but also high quality touch and experience to everything I touch. And I'm actually also an amateur pasta chef at home. So
wow.
commercialize that.
But you are many faceted, and I have never heard anyone draw the thread between a sommelier and a professional organizer, and I love it.
There's a straight line. As soon as you know what people want and like, I think there is a straight line that can be drawn.
That's amazing. And the bonus question, Paragon turns 20 this year. What's one memory from 20 years ago that still stands out to you?
So if I think back 20 years, I was graduating college and I was heading to law school. And looking back, I'd tell that version of myself to hold on to that curiosity, the hunger, and the desire to make an impact. And it's that same enthusiasm I'm carrying into this next chapter of my career in 2026.
I love that. Taking your own advice is one of the hardest things to do, so good for you. Well, that was really fun, Alisha. Thank you so much for a great conversation and being with me today.
Thank you so much, Trista. It's been a pleasure.
All right, that's a wrap on today's episode of GC Sidebar. Catch more great conversations on our website at paragonlegal.com. Thanks for tuning in.